Alrighty, folks, we're going to touch in with Mr. Adrian Hernandez, talk about the local Orange County market. We're also going to wish him happy birthday. Yes, he just celebrated a birthday, as did his wife, which is pretty cool. But more importantly, we want to start this off by something you did 10 years ago that you then went back and looked at while you were in Hawaii celebrating your birthday. So why don't you tell everybody what you did? And I want to ask some questions, but what was this thing you did 10 years ago that you then shared on Instagram?
Yeah, what's going on, everyone? First and foremost, I got to get me one of those everyday wealth builders hats. That's got to go down, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
put
know
it.
a guy. He'll get you one.
All right, cool. It's super surreal moment, guys. On my, and I call it surreal. That's literally what it felt like as I like put myself back in my 25-year-old self writing this letter. Super cool. 10 years ago, 25 years old, I wrote a vision letter to myself on what my life would look like 10 years in the future. I was living in Rancho Cucamonga. I was a regular real estate agent, knocking and calling expired and for sale by owners. And I'll never forget the day I wrote it. I had a coach challenge me to write it, and I struggled with the thought. I struggled with even doing it, right? How many of us have heard do this and we know we should, we know it will work, but we don't. And I remember one day just having the courage, and I started typing of what I wanted life to look like. And I went back and I read it on my 35th birthday, which was this Sunday that just passed, or last Sunday. And it was profound, Zuber, profound on how much of that vision letter has came to life. I mean, it is just, I still get chills thinking and talking about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, because if I remember the story from Instagram, at the time you had just met what would become your wife, right?
Yeah, we had just started dating.
Yeah, you just started dating. You talked about having a child, a son, as I recall, which you now have, and you talked about your business and your career, and it's there's something to this. I guess you call it manifesting or speaking into existence or clarity or what is it? Why was so much? I can't. I mean, I got to tell you, I can't fathom 25-year-old. First off, being gutsy enough and comfortable enough to kind of look into the future. I can't do that now as a 50 some odd year old. So kudos to you. But then to get so many of the details right. I mean, it's spooky.
It is. It's that's why it's so surreal, right? It's like, what the heck? And I take that back. We weren't dating. We had just moved in together. We had actually
moved in together.
Were already dating. We had moved in together, and that's when I really knew. You'll know if you're going to stay with somebody. You move in with them, right? Move in with them.
Amen. Amen.
They'll really, really kind of let you know, right? And I remember just thinking, like, yeah, like this is it. But you know what's cool? I think I've talked about this before. Subconsciously, my mom had put around these quotes around our house. And I don't know if she did it on purpose, but there were these quotes around the house that kind of like planted these little seeds when I was little to just, I remember one quote, it says, you can live life as a miracle or nothing at all. Right. And I want to say that was, Thomas Jefferson that wrote that from and don't butcher me, guys, but there were these little quotes that I remember seeing. And so when I was presented with this idea, it really spoke to me. And then I remember Tony Robbins saying, and this was another quote from somebody, that you can't hold it in your hands unless you can see it in your mind. And I really remember like taking that and just every day I would visualize what I wanted the future to look like, in detail. And I think that's where we go wrong is we say we want this, these rentals, right? For an example, I want 10 rentals. Okay, what does that look like? Like, where are these 10 rentals at, right? What are they cash flowing? What are your tenants like? What are the properties like? How did you buy the deal? How deep did you buy the deal? Like all of those little details, I believe, play a big role in the overall, manifestation and visualization piece of what we do.
Yeah. One of the things I knew I wanted to ask you here was, okay, you did this 10 years ago. You cracked the letter open on your 35th birthday. Have you taken the chance to do that again and write what 45 will be like?
Yeah, I started it there. I have to continue it, which is just so crazy because that letter, I was 25, guys. A lot of that beginning letter was all about like what I have, You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
was a list of cars. It was a list of, and I know Zuber, I probably shouldn't have, but I bought them all. I've had them all.
I've had them all.
I've had them all. Right? I either still have it or I've had it. And so it's crazy because now this vision letter has nothing to do with what I have, and it has everything to do with how I'm being, the people I'm around, the relationship with my wife, the relationship with
maturity with age. Yes.
I was writing it, and I'm like, we're by the pool, and I'm typing it, and I'm just like, I look around, and I'm like, you would have told the 25-year-old me that you're going to be writing a letter about anything outside of houses, cars. Like, I would have been like, what are you talking about?
Oh, this is amazing. So let's give some folks some guidelines here before we switch over and talk about the market, which is always interesting. If somebody hears this conversation and they want to kind of take on this challenge, what are some of the guide rails you would give someone to say, okay, write a letter to your 10-year-old, your future self 10 years from now?
Yeah, the first thing I would say, guys, is chunk it down. It's kind of hard, even when I was rewriting the 10-year, like I'm sitting there and I got a little mind foggy. And so I had to remember, like, go back and just write down a little bullet points of what you want the future to look like. Just bullet point it. Once you bullet point it, you can put that in a letter. It's hard to just start with the letter. For me, it was.
Yeah.
So what I did the night before is I just bullet pointed things. I'm like, well, I want to be healthy. I want to be the fittest I've ever been. Not just, not just health, but I also want that physique, you know what I mean? And then I wrote down the relationship with my wife, what that looked like, just bullet points, just real quick bullet points. There were nothing lengthy, just bullet points. How many rentals, what's my overall debt ratio to the rentals? Like, I just started writing all that little stuff down. And then that was able to help me transform it into a letter. So I think that step number one is just really bullet point it. And then step number two would make it really powerful is write it to somebody that means something to you. Somebody like a mom, a wife, a husband, your kid. Write it to you. Want to be able to feel the emotion through the page. You want to be able, as you're typing it, like you have chills as you're typing it because it means that much to you to share this with that loved one. It's what I found is that when you do it for yourself, it's not as it's when you do it for someone that you really care about, like you're not going to let them down. And it makes the letter just that much more impactful. And then the third step is literally just having the courage to just block out 30 minutes of the day, guys, and just write. Rather that be writing or rather that be typing, however you want to do it. Don't get caught up in the detail. I think that was another thing is I got so caught up in the detail. Like it has to be perfect. Nothing needs to be perfect about this. The only thing that's perfect is the fact that you had the courage to sit down and actually do it, right? That's the perfectness, is you being able to sit down and do it. So that's the step number three is write it to somebody that means something. And I guess 4 would just be to have that courage and write it. You know what I mean?
There you go, folks. This is something we should all think about doing. It's something I've been thinking about since I saw that post and wanted to talk to Adrian about. So again, write it to someone you care about 10 years in the future. What do you want life to be like? It's a great mental exercise.
Whether if we all like it or not, 10 years is going to go by.
Oh,
and you're either going to be here or you're not going to be here. And if you're not going to be here, you didn't got to worry about that. Right. But for the most part, most of you watching this, you're going to be here 10 years from now. So why not? Why not? What do you got to lose? Like you have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. You have everything to gain by throwing it out there and telling the world, telling God, telling whatever it is, whoever you believe in, that I have the courage to dream this big. And then here's the fundamental rule behind this whole entire vision letter, which I hope some of you get. You can write it all day long, but unless you do the ORAT rules, unless you get to work, unless every single day you put in the work, it's like The Secret. It's like putting up all these photos of these Ferraris sitting on your couch or rentals and sitting on your couch and going, I own rentals, I own rentals, I own rentals, and not doing anything about it and hoping rentals are going to fall on your lap. That's not going to happen. You can write 1,000 vision letters and it ain't going to work. You got to go do the work. Do the work on writing it and then do the actual work on getting after it, right? I don't think that vision letter would have came to life, Super, had I stood in my apartment at 25 and watched a bunch of YouTube videos on manifestation. Like that's not going to work.
Amen. Love it. Love it. Well, let's switch to the market. We haven't talked in about a month or so. Curious what's going on in Orange County, California. What are you seeing? Signs of life? We're in the winter. Is it all slowing down? What's going on?
Yeah, you would think that, winter's here and, the blankets are out and the heaters are turned on. You would think
Yeah.
that the market would slow down. And I actually said this in the beginning of the year. I think you said this in the beginning of the year. We were going to have a better Q4 than we did some of the other quarters. And we're seeing that. We're seeing hope. We're seeing a little bit more of consumer confidence in the market, right? You guys all know that and Zuber talks about this time after time after time again, which I love the channel so much, in the fact that like he's really telling you the truth. Jerome Powell says they're lowering interest rates, but interest rates really haven't gone anywhere. But what has gone somewhere is just the fact of him lowering rates. Just the fact of them lowering rates has put a little bit of confidence in some buyers, confidence in home sellers. The refinance market, we're seeing, I talk to lenders, quite often. Their refinances are up. I was just talking to an appraisal because we were an appraiser. We're refinancing our house. And I asked him, I was like, hey, are you busy? And he's like, dude, I've never been more busier than right now. And so it's interesting. I was having those conversations with appraisers 45 days ago, and that wasn't the story. So I just think, all we need is it's unfortunate, right, Zuber? All we need is some trending headlines, and all of a sudden things start to change.
It's really funny. It's fun to watch the market make a call and have the call be right. So something I did about 6 or 8 weeks ago is I said we were going to have a refi boom. A lot of that will be rate and term refis. We're right on the cusp of major cash out refis. That's going to be game changing. When cash out refis really pop, and I think it needs rates sub 6. So we're close, but not quite there. That's going to be $1 trillion that sloshes around in the economy. And then heaven forbid we get to 5.5 and the move up buyer comes back. Man, you want to talk about a gangbuster year. But yeah, I do think, and I said many times August would be the bottom. I said September 25 would be better than 24 and 23, and it was. The government shutdown is probably going to dent October a little bit. But yeah, I think Q4 will be a much stronger quarter, historically speaking. Because again, I think the spring was a big dud.
I couldn't agree more. And that was my question for you on this call today is, what do you think the government shutdown will do to our market? I mean, we started to see a little bit of consumer confidence, and you are right. I'm actually, it's interesting. I was just having a conversation with the client today who can't move forward on a purchase because, they're not getting checks. So how do you see that playing a role?
Well, I think government shutdown is going to do a couple of things. So first and foremost, without question, it's going to slow everything down, right? FHA, VA loans, that whole system is just going to be slower. So what confidently could be 4 weeks is probably now 6 or 7 weeks. But it's also going to dent confidence, right? Consumers can pull back for a little while, and a government shutdown is just another excuse, another unknown, and will cause people to pull back. So again, I think it's going to dent activity, but it's also going to be one of those things that once it gets settled, a lot of that will be, demand that comes back. It's not demand forgotten, it's demand delayed. And, so I think, you could see depending on when this thing ends, right? Some people think it ends today and some people think it ends December 1st. Whenever it ends, it'll be a good thing. We got to get this behind us. But yeah, I think at this point, it's just slowing everything down.
Interesting. Do you see it? Do you see them doing that this month, or do you see it going into December? Your own personal, what you know?
So I called it to be the longest government shutdown ever, and as of today, it is now the longest one ever. So we got that right. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I could see this going to Thanksgiving.
Wow. And with that, we would see an interesting change in November numbers.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. In November and probably December. Because again, right, this, but if you get a contract in November, there's a good chance it doesn't close in December.
Right.
Because of the holidays and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong.
I hope so too. We'll see it play out. Do you? So then my next question is when we look at all that, what should home investors or buyers or, flippers, agents, what should they be doing in this month?
This is a horrible market to sell, but a great market to buy. If you happen to be in the position of buying or stacking inventory, I would tell you to get extra aggressive. right? If your numbers say offer 15% less, offer 18, right? Go for the extra. This is the time to find the truly motivated seller. Some people have to sell this year, and it's getting really late in the year to close this year. So again, never forget you make your money when you buy. So again, what I would tell people is it's a great time to stack inventory at stupid prices. And then hopefully that comes online in the spring when the market should be different. I would hate to be sitting on inventory in November and December. And if you got to sell, cut early, cut often.
So good. So good. I hope you guys are listening, especially flippers that have houses on the market. Get those things cut. Just get out.
Cut them. Get out early. You don't want to. Yeah. Again, people are saying it's a horrible time to buy. I'm like, you guys don't get it. It's a horrible time to sell. It's a great time to buy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we're seeing it too. We're having, we get a lot of inbound calls, and we're getting calls just like, I've tried. I'm at my wit's end. I need this closed by December. What can you guys do? And,
exactly. It's your job to take advantage of that situation.
That is so good. That is so good. Yeah. And do you see this playing out? I mean, obviously this is nationwide. Do you see California? We have this whole crazy Prop 50 thing going on. Do you see California going through anything, or is that just a fugazi?
I think it's fugazi at the most part. I do think one of the things that I would be paying attention to, it doesn't affect you a lot, but since we're talking California in general, I would watch the Bay Area, right? Mm-hmm. Silicon Valley. And I'm just a little nervous of tech layoffs. And I don't think it comes in 25 or 26, but if you go out to like 29 or 30 and we have this AI thing really come in and replace tech jobs, that could be a problem. But again, in the short term, fugazi. I think it's I think California is, I think there's a lot of people that love California and they're going to stay there. So, it's got the best weather, certainly where you are is the best weather on the planet. And that's not changing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There was a big controversy this morning in one of the Facebook groups, and everyone's like, everyone's leaving California. I'm like, I don't know where
that already happened.
I don't know how you replace that. You know what I mean?
No, you don't. Yeah, exactly. So it's funny. I think California's already had their clearly California had a couple of rough years. I mean, I'm one of them. I left 2.5 years ago. I just don't think there's a lot of that left. I think the people that wanted to go had the ability to leave and they left. Right. I think California does have a lot of going for it. The weather mainly. So yeah, I don't see a mass migration. In fact, I think California probably reverses trend and starts to grow again. Right. It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I've had some friends move and they're moving back. Right.
Yeah. I think that'll happen. I think a lot of people will boomerang and come back. Yeah.
Yeah. So
very
good.
Cool. Well, Adrian, amazing. Congratulations. Happy birthday to you and your lovely wife. And congrats on the 10-year letter. It was fun to watch you talk about that. I could feel it in your voice, right? The emotion came through. So nice work.
Oh, dude, it was, I knew it was coming too. Like the night before, I'm going to read it. And my wife's like, are you nervous? And I'm like, well, I kind of peeked at it. She's like, what do you mean you peeked at it? I was like, about a year and a half ago, I peeked at it. I go, I probably shouldn't have peeked at it. But it was cool when I did, because I was like, oh, wow, I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? And I try to push to get some of the last minute goals done. But it's going to be cool to see what the next 10 years brings. And for everybody watching this, you guys, I encourage you to have the courage to dream big, and then most importantly, have the courage to act on those big dreams. I think that's the most important thing.
Adrian, where can they find you?
Instagram, guys, at Adrian Hernandez. Appreciate all of you.
And don't forget, he'll be in Vegas, February 14th and 15th. Always
Let's go. I can't wait. My best event of the year. Be there. Get your tickets if you haven't already. I don't know what you're waiting for.
Yeah. Thanks, man.